that real crazies follow behind her and give
Right.
when I'm literally just trying to make sure that this country works for everybody and not just those that elected me.
You know, the irony of this is she purposefully misinterpreted you saying child, which is just a term of endearment. It's like me saying bro. I don't think anybody's going to actually think that I think that they're my brother by virtue of saying it. It's just a word that people say. So she does the whole manufactured outrage bit, pretends that she's upset about being called a child, but then immediately goes on to prove exactly that thesis, prove why she is a
Correct.
child, prove the very
Right.
thing that she's claiming she's
Right.
not. And so is
Right.
there any acknowledgement from even her own colleagues that she is doing exactly that she's proving she's the very thing she claims not to be?
No, I mean, listen, I think that there are certain people that are on their own islands, and Nancy Mace is one of those when it comes to the Republican Party. She's on her own island. She's doing her own thing. We know that McCarthy wanted to get her out. We know that she's not really what I would consider to be one of those that is beloved by the Republican caucus. And so she's found out, though, that by following in the footsteps of Marjorie, because that's exactly what she's doing,
Right.
is let me just say the most ridiculous things I can, and I can raise money. And that is why she's decided, she was talking about trans folk in the bathrooms. I don't know for how long, and talking about how she's scared to go in the bathroom. Last time I checked, in the rules package that they passed with the Republican speaker, they said no trans women in the bathrooms. So
But
what are
that's
you
the thing.
afraid of?
They can't allow the dog to catch the car because then they have nothing
Correct.
to complain about. It's the reason that
Correct.
Republicans refused to
Correct.
pass the border bill that they themselves claimed that they
Exactly.
wanted in the 118th
Exactly.
Congress because they
Exactly.
don't want to solve the problems because then they would
No.
prevent
Because
themselves from
then what
having
do
a
you
problem to
do?
run on.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so, first of all, just a quick note. I think there is some irony in the fact that she tried to pick a fight when her last bit of manufactured outrage, just the previous week, was her pretending that she
Calling the
needed her
police.
arm in a sling because a handshake injured her. So for that person to go
Correct.
around picking fights is
Correct.
probably a little misguided. Um,
Correct.
but the second thing that I wanted to bring up is, isn't it bizarre for her to go out on a limb and pretend that she is some champion for women's rights when her whole identity is really predicated on her allegiance to Donald Trump, who has more than 24 sexual assault allegations leveled against him, when he was just found guilty and convicted of 34 felony counts for charges related to a hush money payout for an affair he had while his wife was at home with their infant son. A judge came forward and said that he raped E. Jean Carroll. So on issue after issue after issue, does the cognitive dissonance count for nothing here?
No, I mean, listen, they play on the ignorance of those that support them. That's all it is. This is cosplay for them. When Democrats run for office, we really believe in actual policies. We believe in government. We believe in governance. They don't. Everything that they do is about tearing us apart, whether it's about tearing the very government that they have sworn that they are going to protect and participate in and serve. They are trying to tear away our foundation, which is the Constitution. I mean, they don't believe the things that they say. Think about the fact that they're like, oh, we're going to kick all the immigrants out. And now they're outraged because they're like, wait a minute. Elon said he want to bring more immigrants in.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, it's good for business. This is what we're trying to do because y'all aren't, and when I say y'all, I'm talking about MAGA, y'all aren't intelligent enough to do the jobs that we need done, as you are all saying, yeah, get rid of the Department of Education. And you're the very ones that need it. So yes, everything is about cosplay. So no, she is not a champion for women. She is someone that likes to say it, but when it comes down to walking the walk, she's not doing it. That is why I wanted to emphasize that the data and the science is on our side. When we say we're protecting women, it's not just in our words, it's in our legislation. It's in the fact that we believe that women have a right to choose, because I can look at how many women are dying or being subjected to death right now in my home state of Texas. I also decided to bring out the fact that our ridiculous governor, I didn't talk about this specific part of it, but our ridiculous governor, Governor Abbott, said when we were looking at trying to figure out how we were going to protect women as relates to, say, those maybe that are being raped, because we have no exceptions for abortion in the state of Texas. He said, oh, that's okay. I'm going to get rid of rapists.
Right.
Well, next thing you know, we
How's
ended
that
up with
going?
26,000 women
Right.
with reported rapes in the first year in the overturning of the Roe decision. So you tell me how pro-life you are. You tell me what Christian values you have, especially when you're out here talking about just making up random stuff because no trans person has ever attacked her in a bathroom or tried to rape her. That has just never happened. So the fact that you want to put this out there in committee and to stoke this fear about something that you know that your base does not understand, does not choose to understand, is wrong.
Well, look, there is a part of me that understands the incentive structure for these Republicans to do this while they're in the minority. It's not like any legislation is getting passed with split
Yeah.
control of government anyway. But
Yeah.
now that Republicans are in the majority, one might think that they would have a little bit more incentive to actually get the shit done that they want to get done, as opposed to pulling these stunts that are only intended to get them attention when nothing else can be done. And so what does it say that really nothing has changed from when Republicans had no control of government to when they have full control of government, with Donald Trump getting sworn in a few days, that still Nancy Mace and people like her, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Nancy Maces of the party, have to rely on this kind of bullshit, basically, instead of really trying to get anything serious done for their constituents.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Listen, but these guys are going to be failures. We know that. Right now, Mike Johnson is going to have to be perfect. And if there's anybody in Congress that ain't perfect, I'm going to say pick any Republican you want to on that side, right? Because the reality is that the numbers are about to come down to 217 to 215. This means that literally they have to stand together lockstep, and every single one of them will have to vote for their mandate that they keep telling us that they have, that the American people have given them, completely ignoring the fact that so many American people, a lot of Democrats, just decided to stay home. You don't have a mandate, but if that's what you believe, then get it done, homie, because I'm not here to help you tear away other folks' rights. So we will see what happens, but if they are going to have to rely on Democrats, or they're just going to have to be perfect, because if one person, one of them, decides to go the other way, then that means that it fails. So I am looking forward to seeing them get their mandate agenda across the finish line. But let me tell you, if they end up banning trans folk in sports, which I think the numbers are in the 0.00 percentages of trans folk that actually play sports, if they somehow succeed, then what is it you gonna campaign on in 2 years?
Right, right.
Like, tell me, what you gonna campaign on?
There's a part of me that's like they're going to get somebody to tank it at the last second, just because they can't deprive themselves of this as a campaign issue that was so potent
Exactly.
in 2024. Finally,
Exactly.
let's finish off with this. You come from a state that's often the unfortunate recipient of natural disasters. There was a freeze in
Yeah.
Texas a couple years ago that Ted Cruz
Yeah.
had skittered away from.
Yep.
There's obviously hurricanes that have very recently hit places like Houston.
Yeah. We
Right
had
now,
we
I'm
had
coming
major fires. We had major fires in
major
Texas. I know
fires.
that's where you're going.
I'm coming to you right now from Los Angeles. Obviously, we're contending with the Palisades fire, the Eden fire, and a number of others. There is right now worry that Republicans, with their new majority, are going to condition aid to California. And of course, this is being pushed not only by Donald Trump, but somebody like Mike Johnson, who, by the way, is from the state of Louisiana. Of all states where it might not be that smart to establish the precedent of conditioning aid, relief aid, it might be Louisiana among the top of them. So do you have any indication of whether they're serious about this, or the pushback that Democrats are going to be able to build up in the face of these threats by Republicans?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because I don't know the current makeup of the Rules Committee, and I don't know who's going to be what and which way they will go. So one of the really big issues that they had in the 118th Congress is that they had a bunch of their obstructionists on rules. And so while they may be voting with Democrats for different reasons, they weren't necessarily with us, but it was the same vote, right? And so therefore they had to put a lot of things on suspension. So I don't really know what the dynamics are going to look like and if we end up in that scenario. But let me tell you, what the first thing that I want to tell you, I am so sorry for what everyone in California is going through, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And that is coming from a Texan, but more importantly, that is coming from someone who considers herself a U.S. representative before anything else. And I can tell you that while Tennessee can't never vote the right way, as far as I'm concerned, while Florida ain't been right since the hanging chads, while North Carolina, every once in a while may get it right, and while Georgia, for sure, we never know which way